Hello, friends. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 3, Fantasy, with Erica and Emma Shanks. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Inked Podcast. Today, we are covering yet another genre that we see quite a bit in writing, and that is, of course, fantasy. So today, we have the wonderful Erica and Emma Shanks here to help me talk about this. So how are you ladies doing today?
Hi, this is Emma. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Happy it's warm out finally.
Yeah, hello, this is Erica. Yeah, I'm doing really well, honestly. Again, very happy. It's warm. Warmth makes me
Oh,
happy.
that's so true.
Yeah.
The warmth is so nice.
It really is. Genuinely. Best inspiration is when you can walk outside and just breathe in God's nature. It's awesome.
Oh, yes. It's so nice. So for you guys to just know, Emma and Erica Shanks are twin sisters who have been telling stories longer than they've been reading them. From creating a highly intricate fantasy world with their Barbies that would surely put Tolkien to shame, I'm so, guys, my words are messed up today, to making even more intricate worlds on paper. Emma and Erica want to use unlikely heroes to save unworthy worlds. Just like their faith in Jesus Christ, they strive to dig deeper into what makes a story alive. Find Emma and Erica's works in the Who You Say I Am anthology and Emma's email list, The Faithful Pen. And I'm so excited to have you guys here today because I've gotten to read some of your work as well as getting to know you guys a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah, we're really excited too.
This is our first ever podcast interview, so we're really happy to be here.
Didn't think we'd be here.
I'm definitely honored to have you. So now, let's just go ahead and jump into today's episode. I'm pretty sure that by now, everyone who'd be listening to this podcast has at least a minuscule knowledge of what a fantasy genre is, since it is one of the biggest genres of writing that we see in the books that we read, in the books that we are very popular on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, etc., etc. Most of those books fall under the fantasy genre. And today I will be asking Emma and Erica, who are fantasy authors, about why they chose fantasy as their genre. So let's just go in with the very first question, which is, why did you pick fantasy to be your main genre of writing?
All right.
Yeah, so I'm Emma, gonna answer this one. Yeah, so we always have done fantasy ever since we were little. We would play with our stuffed animals, our Barbies, and we would make up huge complex worlds of rainbow worlds and I don't know,
fairies, mermaids.
Yeah, just a bunch of worlds that was generally fantasy. That was our worlds, and we would I don't know, either pretending we were fairies or whatever. So fantasy was always just our home. It always had just a special connection and a special place in our heart. And when we picked fantasy to be our main genre of writing, it was so natural. I don't even think we thought about it.
No.
Yeah, it was well, we're just gonna go for it because that was what we knew. That's what we were comfortable with. So yeah, I think it was really just a no-brainer.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. I think fantasy gives you such an element of I don't want to say it's not childishness. That's not the right word.
Yeah.
The right word, I guess it's childlike whimsy and fantasy, obviously. And you get to have this sort of creativity when you do fantasy. And I think that's just so much fun. I love that so much.
Yeah, it's really just a world of wonder, honestly. Yeah. You just it's almost like your dreams and just imagination can run wild. It's really fun.
It also gives you, I feel so much creative freedom.
Definitely.
Because when you write fantasy, you really get to build the world, build the characters, build the creatures. You get to mess with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely fun. And sometimes it can be complex, which is where you definitely need to watch out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
think that's
the lore goes very deep in fantasy.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we were like talking about. Like, when you're beginning to write fantasy, you really have to make sure you go slow and steady because it can get way too complex.
I always like to think of it as you have this seed of an idea that seems like, you know, an average seed. It's very simple. It seems very, like, not big at all. But as you feed that seed, you water it, figuratively you water it, and you put, like, fuel to it, it just starts to grow, and it can turn into something way bigger than you were planning. And that can get really overwhelming, and you try to trim back the leaves, but it just takes like a lot longer than you ever were expecting it to take, and by that time you almost kind of just lose the magic.
Yeah. So
you gotta be
So
careful.
that is our first official piece of advice for today, guys. Don't go down the rabbit holes all the time.
Yes, especially when it's your first one.
Yeah,
because
it took us 4 years to realize that.
Yeah. Yeah, so
that's so true though, because like you can have so much fun with it and you can go really far with it, but like sometimes you don't need to go that far, and so you kind of burn out your brain when you go too far.
Yeah,
very true.
Yeah,
and you learn and you love it so much more when it's simple.
Yeah, because then there's no stress. It's not overwhelming. You don't like
yeah.
have to keep thinking about, oh, I need to add that and that, and I can't forget about that.
It's just, like your play thing. You get to just do whatever you want with it and not worry.
Yeah.
And for beginners, we recommend small. No matter how like simple it may seem, just stick with that because
if you just stay, like maybe even stay in the real world and have fantasy things in it. Like, I don't know, like you find out mermaids exist or whatever, so at least you don't have to like worry about creating a whole new world
or a whole new language or foods or creatures.
Yeah,
and you can.
It works for some people and not for others. Definitely, that's definitely the way it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm seeing you guys definitely love your genre. You definitely like to work in this a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask you a very difficult question, which would be, if you had to pick one thing about fantasy, what would be your favorite part of writing fantasy?
All right. So Emma, you can answer this again.
Yeah. We really believe that our favorite part of fantasy is something that you can create whatever you want and no one can stop you. I think just the pure imagination and like limitless, I don't know,
joy.
Yeah, and like fantasy is just so unique in where like you're almost like quote unquote playing God, I guess. Like you get to create a world or things in your already world, like this world you can create, and there's just no limit to what you can create. And like mind you, that could get a little iffy in some places, but if you do it right, you know, like if you just
have fun with it.
Yeah,
that's really
enjoy
what fantasy
yourself.
is.
Make something you love. Like it's really a beautiful thing, and that's one of our things that we love is like we don't have to like think about, I don't know, restrictions in our writing, because it's like, well, we can add that if we want to. Because it's fantasy.
And it's just like all these very famous authors who wrote fantasy, like Narnia and Lord of the Rings. Those books took years, and they had a lot of determination. Like, you could do that easily if you wanted to, but they also had practice before they started doing that. Like, I did a research paper on Tolkien a few years back, and it's like, what I learned was that he did not just jump into Lord of the Rings and lo and behold, famous book, got it. No, it took years, like a really, really long time. And before that, he was a teacher, and he wrote a bunch of short stories, and he had practice. So you can do it. It just takes a while, and you got to know that it's not always a downhill climb. It's an uphill climb almost the entire way.
So when you get to create what you want, there are like some things you got to watch out for, because it's not going to just be very quick. I think that we need to make.
But it's not something to be discouraged about.
Yeah.
Because you can still just do whatever you want with it. The first draft can be messy.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything like that.
Fiddle around, add a bunch of things, but do know that you may need to cut it back.
Write short stories first to build up to it, but if you're really ambitious, go for it.
Yeah. Honestly, fantasy's just like, it's just a really cool thing that you get to like experiment with.
Yeah, we really love just the defying logic of it all.
Yeah.
You just do what you want. It's awesome.
Yeah. So y'all mentioned the fact of when you write fantasy, sometimes it's almost like you're playing God and like the way you create it.
Yeah.
And that's really funny because back in season 1 of the show, when I talked to Owen about world building, we actually talked about how um, in the in writing fantasy and writing dystopian and a bunch of those different genres like that, in the world building, you kind of get to see and feel a little bit of probably how God felt when he made the world.
Yes,
Definitely.
And like, that's one of my favorite things about writing fantasy as well. It's just the fact that you get a much bigger scope of how much he cares about what he's made.
For sure.
Yeah,
and
that's sorry. Yeah, that's what we were kind of like conveying, I guess, with like when you get to create what you want and no one can stop you. Like you also get to feel like the love that Jesus has
for your characters and the world you create. You want to protect it, like Jesus. It gives you such a cool aspect of your faith.
If someone doesn't like it, you're like, well, why? I love it. Like there's just like you have this sense of like what God feels for you, and it's just eye-opening. It's beautiful, really.
And fantasy gives you also a big opportunity to take a world and make it spiritual, because you can just like Narnia, you can do so much with it, and you can make a lion seem like God in this world, and it's amazing.
Yeah, like even the books by Brian Davis, like Dragons Rising and all that, those kinds of books, like he created biblical things in a fantasy world, and it was like, it was really cool about like the number of lives of people that came to Jesus because of that story, and it was fantasy. So like that's really a big encouragement to me, especially like I don't need to worry about maybe having to like go and like write other books to make the message of Jesus happen, because I know that fantasy can do that.
Yeah. Fantasy, definitely, there's a big open door with fantasy to like put the messages of the gospel in not just your characters but in your world and how your world believes, and that's just something that's really, really cool about fantasy.
Yeah, for sure. It's awesome.
So just to kind of help wrap up this episode a little bit, we have our very last question, which obviously you guys are brimming with advice on writing fantasy. But for our listeners who may be first-time fantasy authors or maybe just testing the waters of all these different genres we've talked about this season, what is your biggest suggestion for someone who is trying to write fantasy, or your biggest piece of advice for them?
All right, so I'm going to answer this one, Erica. So basically, the biggest suggestion for someone new to this would be, don't think about it. Have fun with it. The main reason for writing fantasy is just to love what you do. Honestly, it's just, you don't think about it, you know? Like, what we did was, we knew we wanted to write something, and we prayed about it. We wanted it to be in fantasy, but we didn't know where to start. So instead of like thinking about it too much or getting overwhelmed, like, why can't we find a story? We just took a walk, and really long walk, and we just waited and prayed.
We asked the Lord, what do you want us to write?
Yeah.
And sorry.
It happened. It worked. It's so funny. So we were up in more of a woodsy area in our neighborhood, and I just grabbed a stick, handed it to Emma, and was like, on guard. And we started a stick fight, and that ended up being
the inspiration for our story.
Yeah, and that is now what we've turned into a really fun and simple fantasy story that we are writing now.
And I think a good example is that is our new project we're working on.
Yes,
we have
people who don't know.
Yes, we've written a story called Spellbound, and that one was a finished novel. But now we're working on a new project, and I think what we didn't do with Spellbound was have fun with it. I think we just thought about it too much, and I think that really ruined it. Like, honestly, I think it's a really good story, and it's got a really good moral, but it was just way too complex for us. And so we've decided, we're gonna come back to it, but we want the story we're writing now to just be a good, wholesome story that we can have fun with. And I think that honestly, for new fantasy writers, just like Erica was saying, with the beginner seeds, it grows too complex. Just water your little plant. Just keep it steady. Keep it sweet.
It doesn't have to be a tree. It can be a succulent.
Yeah, and if you want a tree, then go ahead. Like, just don't make it so overwhelming, because I feel like that is such a trap that we can fall under. And then all of a sudden, something that God created to be so fun, almost like you made it something too stressful. And I think
becomes more work.
Yeah.
Fun.
Like then you're like, well, I don't really want to write today. And that's so sad, because like you want to have a good enjoyment when you're writing your stories. So really just like leave it to, this is the first draft. It doesn't need to be complex. If I want it to be, then if that's what makes you happy, then go ahead.
But you are going to learn something from that no matter what. If you are really new to writing, if you want to tackle something big, go for it, but just beware that it might not end the way you hoped.
Yeah.
But the best way, especially as Christians, is to pray about it, because the Lord gives you the exact thing he wants you to write at that time.
Yeah, like he gave us Spellbound to write, and it was probably just like for the reason of
now we
learning.
Can go on and like podcasts like these and tell people this is from our experience and what we've learned, and
like we try to tackle something huge and it just didn't work out, but that doesn't mean we didn't learn from it. And so really, it's just the advice: have fun, don't worry about it.
Pray about it
and just see where God takes you. That's really just it. Like,
it might take a little while for you to find the right inspiration, but don't get discouraged about that. It will come. Fantasy is such a hard genre to tackle,
but it's a really good,
worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it.
It's rewarding. It's really fun. Yeah.
So that was a lot of really great advice, and we've learned from this episode in talking about fantasy, we have learned to be creative, keep it simple, and just have fun, because you can't create a good story if you don't have fun and you don't enjoy that story yourself. So don't burn yourself out making it overly complex. Keep it simple. Well, thank you, Erica and Emma, for being here. You guys were amazing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. It's been a blast.
Yes. True blessing. Thank you.
I'm so glad you guys came on. But thank you, our listeners, as well. You guys were also awesome, and you always will be. And that closes out this episode of the Inked Podcast. Bye, guys.
Bye.